Well, thank you so much for joining today. And I've been waiting for this for the longest time. And so I'm so excited. Hey, Jamil, how are you?
Really good. How are you, beautiful?
I'm awesome. Actually, what does Pace say? You don't say you're overwhelmed. You're what? You're
Um, I don't know that one.
Oh gosh, I this is the third time I've asked somebody and we're stuck on it. I don't know if we're grateful. Maybe that's what we're supposed to say.
Yeah, that we have the opportunity for things to happen in our life.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Well, thank you so much for joining today. And I've been waiting for this for the longest time. And so I'm so excited. Um, we know who you are, but we want to at least give you the opportunity to go ahead and introduce yourself as we all know you. I'll let you do that. And then I want to get started on asking some questions.
sure. So I'm Jamil Damji. I am the co-founder of Kegley. For those of you that are in the real estate investing space, we're a nationally franchised wholesale operation. I am the founder of Astroflipping, which is the largest community of active wholesalers in the US. I am best friends to Pace Morby, co-host of Triple Digit Flip, and a dad, a brother, son, friend, ex-husband, boyfriend, all the things.
That's typical, all encased into one great package. We love
Yeah.
we
You know
love
what's really interesting, Tigger, is that like everything that I just said right now, I've come to learn over the last, I don't know how many years, that all of those are just BS labels.
Yes, but they all actually all encompass everything that we all are and have become over the years, right? We've
True.
grown into these titles or whatever you want to call them, BS labels. But so I want to start the conversation off with what came first, the chicken or the egg, spirituality or real estate, wholesaling world for you. I know your story from when we talked at Owners Club and how I was going to start a podcast about woo woo and intuition and real estate investing. And you shared your story with me that I had no idea on what that looked like over the years and how you got to where you are currently. So, would you go through that story of way back when, from your childhood to I'll give a spoiler alert about the accident and how that all of it evolved into the place that you are right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that happens, so I may unintentionally leave some pieces out, but spirituality definitely came first. I and you know in a very interesting capacity. So, you know, a lot of times what happens to people when they hit a low in their life is they crack open. And I think that's essentially what ended up happening to me. I was, I born in Los Angeles. I grew up in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and it was I have a incredible mom and dad, and my sister also was very, very helpful in helping raise me. But because we came from a socioeconomic background where mom and dad worked for, 12 to 15 hours a day, I was pretty much left to my own devices to raise myself. And so my sister, 6 years older than me, was doing her best, but again, she's a kid too. And so we were navigating this really interesting, um, I
Dynamic.
this really dynamic, yeah, because in Calgary, Alberta, where I grew up, it was, very European and a small town feel, but still a big city. And there was an influx of migrants that came in to that specific province in Alberta. Actually, it's where I am right now, visiting my daughter, and we weren't very welcome when we came. We were a part of a refugee circumstance from East Africa where my mom and dad had grown up and were both born. A dictator named Idi Amin had started a genocide there, and it was an incredible, time where both the United States government and the Canadian government and the UK came together and helped remove or extract the Asian population from that part of East Africa. And so, this is a time when people were like, "Yay, bring them here. We don't want them to die." And so,
Right.
a lot different from, I think the way that kind of society has evolved. And, I have no opinions on that other than I'm a product of that kind of migration. And so because of that, I was terribly, terribly bullied as a young kid.
Mm.
And, the parents didn't want us there. The children didn't understand who we were or why we looked the way we looked. And everything about us was offensive to them. And so even the adults were, telling the kids, it's okay, these aren't real people. You can do what you want with them. And it was very much that. There was a time when I remember one lunch hour, I was chained up in where the bike racks are. Yeah, these
Whoa.
kids they chained me up at noon, threw stones at me. I was bleeding. I was left there till 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and basically crawled home. And when my parents called the school to tell them what had happened,
Just gonna
the
say,
principal
what's
said,
up with the school?
"Yeah,
Like, where were they
yeah."
at?
The principal said to my parents, "Well, the kids that you're talking about that are involved are good kids, and it's likely that Jamil did something to bring that upon
Oh,
himself."
wow.
And so that was the nature of my environment growing up. And
I
again,
had
I'm
no
not,
idea. Had no idea. This is
yeah, I don't talk about it a lot because I'm not a victim.
right.
I'm not,
You are
it's
not.
not something, no, no, it's not something that I look back at now and say, poor me, I know that it shaped me, but to give you an idea, my main bully, the main perpetrator of all of the violence, is currently serving life in prison for torture and murder.
Holy
Yeah.
crap.
So like so it's not just that this guy turned into a murderer as an adult and was murderous as a young kid, right? And so
You
yeah,
have a purpose here
for
in
sure.
this world.
For sure.
To be
Absolutely.
that close to that. Wow.
Yeah. But that was childhood.
Hmm.
And I then realized I needed to get out. I needed to get out of my environment. I needed to get out of that economic situation. I saw that making money and being successful was going to be the only way that I was going to be able to get out of the circumstances that we were in. And I realized that young, really young. And so at the age of, 10, I was looking for ways to make money, to help my family, to support myself, to support my sister. So we didn't have to be a burden on my mom and dad. It was so tight. We would hear them argue all the time just because they couldn't like it was difficult to get just enough to stay in our situation, And so because I was in an environment where there wasn't a lot of prosperity, you can imagine the things that I was around, right? And
Hmm.
so
Absolutely.
I'm I'm in this environment with a definite interesting group of people, yet I'm still essentially me. I'm a good kid. I love my mom, my dad.
You're a
I'm a
kid.
tender person. Yeah, and I'm really like just it's just so hard to navigate it. And then when I became a teenager into 17, 18, 19 years old, what you would call an adult, I started getting um you know I started fighting back, which is I think where a lot of my trouble came from. So I was really intelligent. I did well in school. I have a degree in science from the University of Calgary in kinesiology. It was a physiology degree,
Wow.
and
I did not know that either. That's pretty cool.
yeah, I applied to medical school, and I had a near 4.0 grade point average. I mean, I did well enough on the medical school entrance exam to get an O. That started for me this new at that time I was like, I thought, okay, someone else is deciding for me. And that can't happen anymore. But then I was also so angry at God.